Welcome to another episode of the House Huddle Podcast. Here are your hosts, Rob Schwartz and Justin Onayemi, two Bears fans who decided talking into a microphone was better than shouting at their television.
Welcome into episode 68 of the House Huddle Podcast.
Huddle up! I had to bring a little extra something there. I'm just
Hype yourself up a little.
I don't know, man. It's gonna be hard to stay a Bears fan. I gave away my angle already. Sorry.
This is a tough one. This is probably the closest to post-game show that we've ever done because typically we have a few hours in between. But we have plans tonight where they're way better than the Chicago Bears football team, apparently. It would have been nice to celebrate a win as we're going out to dinner, just us and the spouses.
But Eberflus doesn't win in the division. Don't you know this?
Yeah, I did. That's why I picked Detroit to win this game.
You brought me up a little. It would have been so much better in UFL if Bears won, and just as a Bears fan. But so we'll talk a bit about the game, a lot about what within the game speaks to the bigger picture. Because to me, I don't want to give away one of my really good takes that I want you to hear your response on.
Okay.
But I could tease it. But anyway, episode 68.
Episode 68. For those of you who don't know, I'm Rob Schwartz, Bear Goggles On. I'm not with CHGO, even though my shirt says it. As always, one of my closest friends, Justin O'Neill.
I'm not with the Chicago Bears, even though my shirt says it.
Yeah, I wish you were, because they'd probably be better. Like, I'm being honest.
I don't want to be like that guy on the couch who thinks I know better than people who do this as a profession. But there are so many things that we're going to be able to pick apart in this game that show like the whole philosophy of a regime.
It's shown this whole season, I feel like, or like you said, actually the whole regime over the last 2 years, like the things that we're continuously seeing over and over again continue to show up the same way over and over again.
So Matt Eberflus has won 6 games in a year and let's say a year and a half.
Yeah.
He's won 6 times.
None against the division.
And they've had close losses.
Yes.
But here's the thing.
Against good teams.
Against good teams, too. Here's the thing. They've consistently played not to lose.
Yeah.
You've seen it so many times where it's like, we're kind of scared that we're winning. And you saw that today. Is it so evidently?
Is that a Matt Eberflus philosophy, or is that a Luke Getsy philosophy, or is it both? I don't know, to be honest. Like, could Luke Getsy be a better play caller than we think, or is it
he's getting vetoed in late drives in the game?
Maybe not like in the moment, but leading up to the game, like
philosophy,
situational football. If we're here, we know we're going to go for it on fourth, or we're going to kick a field goal, or we're going to run to conserve the clock, or to run out the clock, but conserve the football.
Well, Eberflus is not, I mean, I don't know if he speaks for all like defensive-minded coaches, but you hear him talk about complementary football, which, yes, you can win that way, but not when you're the less talented team, first of all, and not when you don't show any sort of like killer instinct when you need it. Because they had a long, over 8-minute drive that ended in a field goal that put them up 2 possessions. And it was like, well, that was worth it if you're going to back that up by playing hard-nosed defense and then, really clamp down. They did not do that. And you're a defensive-minded coach.
The defense did play well. I will give them credit. They played well outside of literally, in my opinion, 2 drives.
But they're the 2 biggest.
But before we get there, I want to start out with the very first drive of the game.
James Daniels episode.
Oh, yeah.
Go.
James Daniels episode, 68. We did not know what to expect from Justin Fields coming off this injury. Was it going to limit him? Was he going to be able to perform the same way that he normally would? Is he going to run the ball, or is he going to be a little bit gun shy? That first drive, we knew right off the bat, they were not holding anything back.
Yep.
There was designed runs for him.
Plays that Bajent ran.
Correct. That should have been being used all season, right? And I get that defenses watched the tape last year and then made adjustments, and they kept their defensive ends out. They contained. They watched Justin Fields the whole entire way. And when you're playing against a team that is good enough on defense to maintain their gaps, it's difficult for him to get outside, right? It's difficult to make those plays. But they weren't doing anything creative with the pocket at all for most of the season. Until Tyson Bagent was put in quarterback.
And, I was half joking, but I'm being totally legitimately serious when I saw some plays and I was like, they ran that with Bagent.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing Fields learned so much from Bagent while he was out and was able to execute a very beautiful drive for 7. Something the Bears have done many times in these 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So you see these patterns develop over and over again. Time to go for both those guys. But now we don't know about Fields. We'll never know about Fields.
Right. And that's the problem. So, I think today showed right away Fields is better than Bagent, right? For those of you who are out there who are like,
don't speak
Tyson
to that.
Bagent needs to be.
No, don't speak to that.
Okay. It's a waste of breath.
You shouldn't have to.
I know. But people out there are saying that even today, going into this game, they were still saying it.
There was a throw he threw to the outside for a completion where the ball had to be exactly where it was at the velocity it was, and it was.
Yeah.
And Bagent couldn't have made that throw to the point where it would have probably been a pick.
Right.
Later, you see Fields on one throw that I can think of to Moore, I want to say, where it was like a duck, where I was like, is his hand okay?
Yeah.
Most of the game,
right,
it wasn't a thought.
As soon as they scored that first touchdown, that first drive obviously looked great. I think it took a little bit over 7 minutes off the clock. I mean, it was a good drive, and they scored. And my comment on social media was, I'm going to limit my excitement for this touchdown because we have seen this consistently in Luke Getsy's time here. That
scripted drive,
the first scripted drive, has had good outcomes. I want to see how he's going to adjust. I felt like he had a good first half, even an okay start to the third quarter from a play calling perspective. But then, as we've already alluded to, everything just collapsed as they got way too conservative.
So you're going no notes, and I again went back to my notes on every play.
Yeah,
so I'm not going to dive that deep, but I want to just say, I wanted to look now that you said that. The second drive, Bears go for it on 4th and 1, and I was completely for this. You're going up against a team that's going to do the same thing to you. Detroit last week won because of lots of different times in 4th down, having the guts and courage to go for it. And after all, you want to say you're the 2022 Lions. That's what I want to come back to and get your kind of response to. But anyway, they went for it, and they ran a great concept with a bunch formation and Moore runs to the outside with a pick. Yeah. There's no way you can stop that. Yeah. That's having guts. That's knowing your personnel and going for things.
Yep.
Where was that on 3rd and inches or on 4th and inches late in the game where, again, you just play not to lose?
Yeah.
And basically, at that point, you already saw the writing on the wall of it all unraveling. We could look at the last drive of the Bears. You could look at the last defensive drive of the Bears. But you could go 2 back, 3 back of both. Yep. And you saw them begin to play like losers.
The whole 4th quarter, I mean, it was pretty conservative play calling.
But I put points for Getsy. I wanted to make sure we called out that, this was that second drive. You went for it on 4th and 1. You ran the right type of play.
He deserves some credit.
And it ended up being a punt, unfortunately.
I think he deserves some credit. I think, like I said, I think he showed enough in that first half that I was like, all right, these are decent play calls called at the right time. It wasn't always perfect, but no offensive scheme is ever going to go perfectly. But then again, in the second half, we saw adjustments being made by Detroit, and the adjustments weren't picked up by Chicago. The middle of the field on defense, as much as I want to give Eberflus credit for what this defense has been doing, that middle of the field is still a big area of opportunity for opposing offenses. They're constantly hitting those underneath throws of 6, 7, 8 yards that they're just, able to gain 4 or 5 yards of yak almost every time.
There was a play. It was the touchdown, actually, by Detroit, where St. Brown's in the slot, and I'm just like, so you're not going to cover him?
Yeah.
He just runs right to the goal line, turns around, and then Edmonds thinks he's going to rotate over and guard one of the best receivers in the league.
Yeah. And I know that they got that interception by Edmonds, which was in the middle of the field. But at the same time, it was tipped by Dexter, and I don't know if that would have actually happened if Dexter didn't get his hand.
At first, I thought it was just a bad read by Goff. Right. Then I saw it was a great play by Dexter.
Yeah.
Shoot. There was something I wanted to go off of there. Well, we were chatting on. We were in a chat, you, me, and Bob during the game.
Bob Weiss, who's been a part of the show.
resident member of the team.
That's
Hopefully
right.
we have him on soon. But you're winning the turnover battle. You're getting these plays. I know what I was going to say. I came into it at a little bit of a Nostradamus moment. I said to my son before the game started, I said, I feel like there's going to be a big Jalen Johnson play. I feel like he's going to make a big play in this game.
So you're saying you jinxed it?
I nearly called it.
Twice,
but the one that would have been a pick six, it would have been Goff's third interception of the game.
Yeah.
They end up scoring a touchdown. It's a 14-point swing. Now, all that still doesn't matter when you play the way you ultimately end up playing.
Well,
to take another L.
I think I also jinxed it because after the third interception, I tweeted out that this was reminding me of the 2018 performance by Jared Goff when he was with the Rams, and the Bears won 15-6. He threw 4 interceptions and only completed 45% of his passes. It seemed like after I tweeted that out, everything changed, and that's when they drove down the field and they got that big play to Jalen Williams and Jameson Williams. I'm sorry.
Neither you or I should feel like we're responsible for what's been going on.
That's true.
I don't know. I don't believe in jinxes and things like that. I think this has just sadly become what you are. And that's what I want to speak to, really. That's the theme of this episode to me, is how many things in this one game show the bigger picture. And it's a very ugly picture.
Well, had they won this game, then I would have been like, yeah, you know what? Maybe they can be the 2022 Lions, right? Because that's what the Lions did. They were horrible in the beginning of the year, record-wise. They could not win football games. Who does that sound like? It sounds like the Chicago Bears. They can't win football games. They finally started learning how to win, and they won 7 of their last 8 games.
So can I speak directly? Let's go there right now.
Yeah.
Why do the Bears think they're the 2022 Lions when right on display you see how much they are not? You are not.
There are
some
similarities.
Okay, but you are not, because that team, both when they had the bad record, but definitely when they turned it on and started learning how to win, had the killer instinct, went for it on 4th down and short, trusted in it, having a philosophy that was their philosophy.
I'll be honest, I didn't watch enough Lions football in 2022.
No, I'm just saying when they were on national, when you followed the highlights, the Bears didn't have any of that, haven't had it, didn't have it last year. You don't have it this year when you've made a big jump up in talent from last year's team.
There's no killer instinct from this coaching staff. And I feel like sometimes that pulls over into the players as well. Like, if your coaches aren't willing to trust you to go for it on 4th and inches after you had a horrible attempt that was it supposed to be a tush push? Because, it was pretty bad.
The play you call on 3rd and inches should determine the way you're thinking about if you have 4th and inches.
Right.
And so then, twice in this game, I feel like they didn't back up the courage to do what you kind of showed you were willing to do.
I know the Eagles created the tush push, right? They're the ones that have founded it. Everyone seems to be copying it, and it works majority of the time. It's very rare that you see it not work. If they didn't get it on 3rd and inches or 3rd and a foot, 3rd and a yard, I guarantee you they would have went for it on 4th, doing the exact same thing, knowing that, hey,
how are you going to stop us?
We're going to get it.
But it's not even that. Come up with your own version of the tush push. You have Blasingame. You're one of you've committed to him. You have Fields. Fields is a unique type of physical player at that position. We hate it when they do the commit sneak, but whatever you think your personnel is and you can do to get an inch, to get a yard, you have to be able to do. But towards the end of the game, they just got super ultra conservative. The deep ball to Scott was not conservative.
It wasn't.
To me, you run that on 2nd down if you want to try to take a shot, but they do it on 3rd. Ball was, I thought, put in a very good place. He stutter steps and starts slowing down, only to be overthrown. Makes no sense. But the game to me was already lost even prior to that.
If Marvin Harrison Jr. was running that route, I guarantee you it would have been a catch.
They got closer to that today. Carolina lost. Giants win.
What is that? Killed our streak, by the way.
Yeah, double killed. Yeah. Oh boy.
Stupid Washington.
It was I was gonna say at the half, but you could even say through 3 quarters, this looked like a game you couldn't lose. So many times I took screenshots of what was on the screen, and you just look at the stats and you're like, tell me which team wins this game. And obviously when I'm asking you that, you know it's a trick question. Let's see. Late in the game, this was ball control. Bears had run 67 plays for 343 yards and possessed the ball for 39 minutes and 51 seconds. It doesn't matter what point in the game I tell you that. 39 minutes and 51 seconds of possession.
Yeah.
That's 2/3 of the whole game.
Yep.
Oh, and I didn't even say Detroit's. I mean, time of possession, they only had 15:59 at that point and ran 42 plays for 191 yards. That doesn't say anything about turnovers. I don't remember, but it was 3-1 at one point, 4-1 maybe.
Yeah, so
you lost that game?
That's a big problem, though, too, is like, okay, they get the takeaway by Tyreek Stevenson, right? He gets his first career interception, first interception of the game. They can't score. They get nothing, 0 points. They get another interception by TJ Edwards. A few plays later, Tyler Scott, fumble. No points.
Yep.
It wasn't until they got the fumble on the kickoff return.
Also Stevenson, by the way.
It was also Stevenson.
Starting corner out there in special teams.
And I got to go back and look, but I saw someone, I think it was maybe Mark Rohde, had stated that he was actually on the sideline with his helmet on while Terrell Smith was in late in the game. Are they giving him reps? Did they bench? I got to go back and look because I didn't pay close enough attention.
I missed that. I didn't even know Terrell Smith was back.
Yeah,
that's how much I didn't know that
this
story
was his first game
there.
back.
But, okay.
But anyway, so like he gets actually no, I think he was actually back for the Carolina game. But anyway, so he gets that fumble and they finally get points off of it. They get 3. You get 3 takeaways and 3 points. That's not how you win a football game that you are on paper dominating. It's not. Now, is that on Fields? Is that on Getsy? A lot of blame can be put all over the place. I'm not putting much blame on Fields for this game. I'm getting killed on social media right now, and I'll get to that later. But I'm not putting this game on Fields. To me, this game is on the coaching staff.
I would agree, but here's the but I have to throw in there. The question coming into this year that Ryan Poles has to answer is, do we invest in Justin Fields moving forward? Not just financially, but committing to him being a part of when you are a team that should be competing for the playoffs and for a Super Bowl, is Justin Fields your guy?
Yeah.
He has to answer that question by the end of this season. And as much as it pains me to say this, unless the answer is yes, then the answer is no.
Correct.
Whether that's injury related, whether it's inconsistency related, whether it's coaching related, the answer still has to be either yes or it's no. It can't be maybe. And we just said, big picture wise, Carolina lost. You lose a game you shouldn't have lost. I'm just quickly in my head thinking that the Bears right now have the 1st and the 3rd pick. I didn't look that up to get confirmed anywhere. Arizona lost. They have 2 wins only, and you have 3. But
yeah, nothing changed at that top of the order.
And so Fields consistently in games where it comes down to that final few things. Again, I don't know how much of it's on him versus Getsy, but to me, it's on both. It's just on you as an organization. Because by now, when it's happened this many times behind closed doors, I'm not saying you do it in a disrespectful or aggressive way, but if they talk as much as Getsy wants us to believe, if they're part of game planning together, don't you talk to each other and say, no, we have to go for these things. You can't play soft. I can't remember at one point I texted like, soft, just soft.
Yeah, you said don't go soft.
Yeah, whoops. But hey, you see the thing is,
this
is the first time coming into this game where you had like your dream O-line.
Yeah.
Other than Patrick not being anyone's dream center and getting blown on a dirty play.
I wrote about
Sorry,
that.
I'm not going to say more about that. But
I am actually. So I wrote about that prior to the game. I said that Justin Fields is going to have his biggest weapon, and I called it the offensive line because he hasn't had an offensive line on paper look like what they had today, and it came out, and they were playing well. I mean, actually, Detroit has a very good defensive front. Hutchinson was struggling to get, and he was frustrated.
Yeah,
he was frustrated. Darnell Wright was owning him
until he didn't.
The whole game until that last play.
But Feeney having to come in the game changed things for the Bears.
So here's where I'm at with that. So I also wrote an article during the game for Bear Goggles On about how the decision not only to have Lucas Patrick start over Cody Whitehair at center, right? But to bring in
for the season or for the game?
For the game.
Okay.
To have Feeney replace him when he got hurt versus Whitehair, that tells me right now Whitehair is not.
He's not part of any plan.
He had 117 consecutive starts going to this game.
Yeah, he's never been a backup.
He's always been at least an average to sometimes above average guard
or center.
I don't want to say
people
center
fake elevated him into a Pro Bowler at center.
I did that.
Not just you.
No, but I also did.
Was he a Pro Bowl center?
He was in 2008.
But was he ever good?
I mean, I don't think so.
Okay.
But from a blocking standpoint, yes. Okay. He's always had the snapping issues. But I also did that in my
Does that matter for a center?
I did that in my bold predictions. So those were never really supposed to come true. No, that doesn't matter. Not at all.
But Feeney being the backup.
The fact that Feeney's the backup tells you, look, Cody Whitehair is out next year. I thought Cody Whitehair could have been a cap casualty this year.
Yeah.
Going into 2023. The fact that he was still here.
They wouldn't hit the floor if they did that.
Correct. So 2024, he's supposed to make $13 million. There's no way they're paying him that. They're only going to eat $4 million if they cut him. So they're going to save $9 million. Goodbye. This is the statement right here. Cody Whitehair is off this.
First time ever being a backup, and you actually end up needing a player.
And you weren't even the backup.
To go to a guy.
Yes.
But I had a different angle on this. When I see Feeney taking snaps, I'm wondering how bad was Doug Kramer? That's what I got frustrated about. Now, if he ends up doing things in Arizona, who ended up picking him up, then
okay, so he got waived
by Arizona.
This past week, and Chicago brought him back. He's now in the practice squad.
Okay,
so he's back in Chicago.
Yes. I almost had to do a Justin's rant there.
Yes,
about Doug Kramer. That's what the Bears have brought me to at this point.
Back.
Oh boy, it's not looking good, Rob.
No, it's not.
Should we take a break?
I was just gonna say, let's take a break. I actually have some things that I'm gonna throw at you.
Okay.
I think on the back half.
Before we take a break, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Yes. We are trying to grow the numbers, and if we get to a magical number, we will be giving out a Chicago Bears jersey of your choice.
For free.
To a lucky winner. So please subscribe, please like, please comment. We love comments. We like to hear what you're thinking and interact with those who are listening. But it also helps us continue to know what kind of things you guys like and want to hear.
Go back to our last episode. I had a great conversation with the follower. I don't know if he actually subscribed to the channel or not. I can't recall the guy's handle. But we were actually talking in depth, cover 2, cover 4, cover 0, cover 6. I mean, we were actually getting into defensive schemes. So if you actually want to get in there, read those comments, comment at us. I try to get back to you guys as much as possible.
Or if you just want to wish Rob a happy birthday. Does this guy look old to you all?
This is what 40 looks
40,
like, guys.
Man. Looking good for 40. Looking good for 40. Catching up to me, though. All right. Enjoy these ads. And we are back. Episode 68, Hallis Huddle. This is directly, we're talking an hour after a deflating defeat. Week 11 loss in Detroit. Probably a game that people didn't think the Bears had any chance. And it's a game they should have won. To me, that's a game you should have won.
I'm tired of talking about it, though. Games that they should have won. There's multiple. Denver, this game. They should have won the Green Bay game at the beginning of the year. I know it didn't look that great on paper, but
there are should haves and there are could haves. Yeah. This was both. A lot of times it's both.
Yes.
This was should have. This was could have. This was.
Yeah. And so the last portion of the game, this is the last thing we're going to talk about the game. We talked about how they get the ball and, we can go back multiple drives, but let's talk about the last drive leading up to Detroit taking the lead, and then let's talk about the last drive where Chicago flounders the game. Okay. The drive leading up to, or the last drive of the game, they're up 26-21, somewhere between 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in the game. They take 15 seconds off the clock. And they do this by running Khalil Herbert, who, by the way, did not look himself today. I know he's coming back off injury. He hasn't played in 4+ weeks. He did not look like himself. He didn't have the burst.
So don't depend on him at the key part of the game?
Correct. And I know they lost Deonta Foreman, right? If Deontay Foreman was still in the game, I guarantee you he would have been the one getting the ball. He was running the ball very hard. But Roschon Johnson, and I said this in the middle of the game on social media, should have been the guy you turn to because Khalil Herbert just didn't look like he had it today. So you go to Roschon Johnson, who was gaining 5 yards per carry, by the way. You give it to Khalil Herbert. He gets stuffed at the hole. First of all, why are you running in the middle? Where that's
your backup center?
Right. Run. You're supposed to be
right outside.
You're supposed to be an outside zone running team.
I feel like Nate Davis and Wright look good on the right. I felt Jenkins and Jones look good on the left.
Yes. Run to the outside. Give your guys an opportunity to make plays.
Or don't forget. So Rojo should have been over Herbert. You also have Justin Fields.
Yes.
The other thing I took a picture of, a screenshot that I wanted to put up on the screen and say, who do you think won this game? I don't remember exactly when this was. It was actually before the other one I shot.
Okay.
So earlier in the game than that. They put up on the screen rush yards. Justin Fields, 104. Detroit, the whole team, 83. 83. Oh, sorry. Hopefully that's not copyrighted. How do you not, in a key possession like that, not think the way we're, obviously we sound like we're picking it apart after the fact because it didn't work. These are things, as I take notes in the game, I'm writing them live.
Yes, we've been speaking.
Don't do this, and then they do it.
Right.
You better make sure you try this, and they don't.
So the second run is even worse. Okay, first of all,
another soft run up the middle.
But it's not even that.
This time,
here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. If you are an NFL coach and you are trying to close out the game, and you know that as a defense that they're going to try to run the ball, what's the first thing you're going to take away? The center of the line of scrimmage, right? You're going to take that away. To run a shotgun draw play, okay? It's a shotgun draw. Now, not only is he not getting a head start to get into the pile, he has to take the ball at the mesh point from Justin Fields and then try to burst. That doesn't work.
While the backup
center is getting blown up. It doesn't work that way.
But how are you to know that? I mean, it's just one play prior that you saw it not work.
If you're going to run a shotgun run, have Herbert take the handoff and either go left or right, which I still don't like in this situation because, again, you're not running north and south. You're running east and west. But pull your blockers, go to the left, go to the right, do something. This is just not it.
But the losing began 2 drives earlier,
I know,
Rob.
I know.
So real quick. Bears take over with 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter. You go on an 8-minute drive, and it ends in a field goal, which is not great. But I excused it at the time, saying, well, you did take up more than 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Now you're a defensive-minded team.
Yeah.
You have a defensive-minded coach. You had played well, like you said, most of the game, with the exception of a few times.
2 drives.
Now, here's what I want to point out, though. After that drive, you go up 26-14. You took up 8 minutes off the clock. Lions take over, touchback, as per usual. 1st and 10. They run with Montgomery. I put weird call. You could actually hear the fans booing. It was not it was like they came out with a weird mentality.
Yeah.
But the whole time thinking, the Bears will blow it for us. They'll blow it for us. So they quickly do end up scoring. Edmonds with a horrible missed tackle. Long touchdown to Williams. I don't think was defended very well at all. Well, right when you need the defense to play well, that's when they fold the easiest. And you see it start to unravel. Then the horrible drive you just explained, barely take up any time. Now Detroit's like, we have them right where we wanted them, it turns out.
Yeah.
You're not the 2022 Lions.
And this is why.
You're the 2022 Bears again.
Right. And this is why, at the moment, prior to Chicago even giving up the lead, I tweeted out, if the Bears lose this game, I guarantee you that a lot of people are going to say it was Justin Fields' fault for not performing in the fourth quarter again. But when your coaching staff pisses down their leg every single time in the fourth quarter with what they're trying to do, I can't just put that on Fields. Then he tries to play hero ball at times. That's when you see some of these turnovers. That's not what happened on the last play of the drive. And I do blame Justin Fields mostly. I know Darnell Wright got beat on the bull rush by Hutchinson. There was enough room. Shockingly, the center didn't get blown up. There was enough room to step up. He has to feel that and step up. Instead, he just takes the hit. He doesn't even try to protect the ball well. I don't know if that's part of the thumb issue. I'm not going to give that as an excuse.
He wouldn't use it as an excuse.
Right. He said it wouldn't be. Darnell Wright kicks it out of the end zone, which might get pissed off about. But guess what? It could have been easily a touchdown versus a safety.
Right. Well, here's the thing, though. You said you could easily, lazily, in my opinion, say Fields blew it in the fourth quarter. That 8-minute drive was in the fourth quarter. That should have been the clinching, defining drive that ended the game.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Nope.
We talked about why. You're a losing team. You have a losing mentality. You have losing. You're just a losing franchise.
Yeah.
So big changes have to come, which I don't know if that's what you're going to start throwing at me.
Well, I'm not going to. We already discussed best case, worst case scenario in the last episode. So if this is your first time listening to us, go back one episode. We talked about what we think will happen best case, worst case with Ryan Poles, Matt Eberflus, Justin Fields, and then just some generalities.
It could already change by this week, though. 1 week has changed things a little bit.
It could.
And I don't want to ruin what you have going, so we could talk about this in a future episode. But did today's game, what did that do for Fields? Because the whole thing is he had 7 games to show us.
Yeah.
This game is, again, back to just being another question mark. Now you have 6 games to show us.
I mean, is it showing Ryan Poles, look, Justin Fields is doing what I need him to do, but my coaching staff isn't. I'm going to stick with Justin Fields and get rid of Matt Eberflus.
16 for 23. That's a good percentage. For 169 yards, a touchdown, no picks, 2 sacks, a very costly fumble, obviously.
Yeah.
18 rushes. So they weren't afraid to let him carry the ball. Some of those are designed runs. Some of those are scrambles. 18 rushes for 104 yards. No touchdowns. There were a couple where I was like, oh, he could go, and he just got tripped up. One was by just a shoelace.
Yeah.
But no fumbles that I could recall. Oh, I meant prior on his runs.
Yes.
Like that was more of a sack fumble.
Correct.
So
yeah,
those are numbers. It's another L.
I have to look. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking he only had 2 sacks in the day.
Fields?
Yeah.
Counting
the fumble.
The last one, yep.
Yeah. And the 1 sack that he did take was on him. He held the ball too long, right? You got to get rid of it. Pocket collapsed, and he went down. So, but this wasn't, I saw also times where he got rid of the ball, right? So it's like, or what I saw is like the sidearm throw to DJ Moore where he's running. He could have gotten, it was 3rd and 2. He could have gotten the first down with his legs. He chose not to. He threw it. They gained another like 7-8 yards.
Changed the flight angle of the ball.
Right.
Great play. So real quick, looking at the stats, I don't know why this is because we said he was 16 of 23. So then I looked at targets, and it's actually 22 total targets. So maybe one was a throwaway or a spike. I don't remember a spike. But anyway, 9 of those targets, DJ Moore. Mooney only gets 1. Komet got 4. You know, you're one-dimensional. You're predictable. And you don't have killer instincts. So you're 3 and whatever. You were 3 and 14 last year. Is that what they're going to go for this year? In which case, they might have the number 1 pick legitimately, not even from Carolina, if you're that bad.
That's true. So,
all right.
Well,
toss it over to you.
Speaking of Justin Fields, let's start there. We're going to go through really, really quick. I'm just going to throw names out at you.
All right.
I'm not going through the whole roster. I'm just going some names out at you. And you tell me if they're going to be on this team in 2024 or not. Okay?
On the team?
On this team.
Okay.
Chicago Bears. Not on another team.
No, I understood that, but there's a situation where Fields could be on the team, but not the starting quarterback.
No, let's not go that far.
Okay.
Is he on the team?
Okay.
All right. That's the first one. Justin Fields. Is he going to be on the roster in 2024?
Is this my opinion or my prediction for Ryan Poles?
Prediction. We're predicting.
Okay.
As Ryan Poles. We're putting on our Ryan Poles.
Oh boy. Okay.
Ian Cunningham hats.
At this exact point in time, the day of their Week 11 loss to the Detroit Lions.
Correct.
He is not.
Okay. I'm saying he is.
Do you want me to? Okay.
I'm not even going to argue
let's
it.
talk this out.
We're just going to shoot it. We're going to go
Okay.
quick. I mean, if you want to debate it, if we have differing answers, we can do that. I just think that going forward, having Justin Fields with 2 top 5 players makes this team a better team than bringing in another rookie quarterback plus a top 5 player. Could it turn around like CJ Stroud has looked fantastic? He had another, I think, great game again today, although I didn't follow it too closely. I do think Houston almost gave it away. But at one point I saw he had 240 yards passing already. I don't even think it was halftime yet. Maybe Drake May, maybe Caleb Williams, maybe one of those 2 guys are the guys that can turn things around that quickly. I don't know. Even if you consider Caleb Williams a generational talent, and I put him as a prospect higher than where Justin Fields was as a prospect coming out of OSU. But my thing is, I'm going to keep Justin Fields, and I'm just going to look to take one of the other quarterbacks later in the draft.
So strictly from X's and O's, player personnel, evaluations and things like that, you may be right. But let's not forget that ego and legacy and job security and those types of things all play a role. This whole thing you have going on now, which Fields is directly in the center of, is chickens. What do they call it? I don't know. It's a bad chicken salad.
Chicken shit?
Yeah, it's a chicken shit salad. That's what you have right now. So if you're Poles, you're pretty much saying, I've built such a solid thing around. There's a few problems here. I don't think Eberflus, which means Eberflus or Getsy, survives this. So if you're bringing in a brand new coach, I don't see how you don't go, we have the draft capital to potentially get whoever we want, whoever we think we can build around. Because let's be honest, putting pieces is nice. The quarterback is still essential. You have to have the quarterback right. You're going to bring in a brand new coach, I think, who's going to want, I would imagine it's going to be an offensive-minded coach. I don't know that. Who's going to want to say, I want my choice of who we bring in here. I'm not just going to come in and take on Fields, who's still just this giant question mark. Because at his best, he's looked great. At his worst, he's looked like a guy you can't hand the keys to the organization over for the next 5 to 10 years, paying him max dollars.
And I don't disagree with that thought process because we talked about it in a few prior episodes, resetting the clock. People want to reset the clock at the GM level too, but resetting the clock at coach and quarterback, because we never seem to get those 2 at the exact same moment, could be crucial for where this team goes forward, right? So I do see that mentality behind it, and I think that's where you're at with it, and I wouldn't disagree with it at all. But can I at least give my coach an option and let him choose? I want Justin Fields.
So in your scenario, though, where you're saying Fields, I guess one of your other questions is going to be about coaches, maybe?
No, I was just looking at the roster.
So in your scenario of Field being back, is that with new coaches?
Yes.
Ooh. Doesn't that a little bit make you shudder? I believe in him.
At the very least, a new offensive coordinator.
Of course. But you and I have been Fields backers this whole time.
Yes.
But how does that look? That looks Nagy-esque.
It completely does.
I'm not saying a new guy with a what do they call it? There's a phrase for when you're on your way out.
Dead man walking.
Well, that's not the phrase, but I forgot it. Never mind. He'd be on his do we extend him year.
Sure.
And you're bringing in a brand new coach. So then when there's failure, is it the new coach? Is it the field? Obviously, the coach is going to feel it's Fields. You know what I mean?
Sure. You
can't bring in a guy who's trying to prove himself with a guy who's desperate to prove himself and think that that's going to mesh.
But I also don't think that – here's the thing. If they think Drake May or Caleb Williams is it, I guarantee you Justin Fields is not on this team next year. It doesn't matter how he plays over these next few games. If they think one of those 2 guys is it –
So you already think they don't think that?
I think that the writing's on the wall. I think it's too close. I think we've seen too many bad performances from both Drake May and Caleb Williams this year to think that they're a lock over a guy who's already somewhat proven it. And I've seen enough growth over the last couple of years to say I'm not ready to be out on Justin Fields.
It's still better for the Bears if he is on the roster next year, in my opinion.
And here's how I look at it too. If he is the problem, and I know I don't want to reset everything and I don't want to have the coach. If they are not sold on one of those two quarterbacks and they'd rather get a haul in whatever draft trade that they can get, plus hopefully lock in 2 top 5 picks at the same time.
It's looking better and better each week.
I almost wonder if, like, again, it'll depend on the coaching situation. Do you go that route knowing you're setting this team up for success, and if Justin Fields is a problem, and you're probably going to have another team's first-round pick, right? Because if you're trading down, you're getting another first-round pick. You're going to have 2 first-round picks, most likely high, or at least one of them high.
And something in 2025.
So
you could take another swing.
You could swing at quarterback then.
True.
Reset the clock. Fields is not done with his rookie contract. He's still on his 4th year next year.
I get it from that perspective, but let's just look at someone who had a front row seat at today's game. You hire Ben Johnson as the Bears' next coach.
He's picking the quarterback.
I'm
letting him pick the quarterback.
You're letting him, like, automatically?
I
or
mean,
do you want
I'm
to
letting
give him the option?
Weigh in.
I'm saying, would he like to say, wow, Fields, I've seen enough out of Fields. I know I could use him if you give me Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yes, I'm giving whoever I bring in a seat at the table.
And I'm just asking, from Ben Johnson's perspective, what do you think?
Did he see enough?
Would he think I can get the most out of Fields that the Bears haven't been? Or would he
personally, I say yes, but that's just...
we don't know in his head, basically.
Right. Personally, I say yes.
I'm curious how he's perceived by others. So, anyway, sorry, that was longer, but I think it was one that had to be.
Yeah.
The rest can be fast.
It's Fields. All right. DJ Moore.
Why are we asking?
I know. Because I'm just...
Oh, you're going that deep? Yeah, he's on the team.
I'm just listing... Okay. I wanted to list some key starters.
Oh, my gosh. If he's not, then maybe Pohl... Like, that's... The whole thing is blown up. He's on the team for sure.
Darnell Mooney.
No.
And I'm also...
I went as fast as I could there.
Yeah, I'm also going no. I just don't think we've seen enough.
Well, he had one target today.
Right.
There was one that he didn't even put his hands up. It ended up being a flag on a...
Yeah.
Was that... I wanted to show another angle where... Did he just give up on it? Or was it actually further out than I could tell? And then there was... I was a terrible broadcast, by the way.
It was awful.
Some of the time, we just don't know how much time is on the clock. Or it was wrong. Or it was like...
All right.
Terrible.
Bayless Jones.
No.
2 weeks in a row, finally.
This is too easy.
That he's gotten an inactive due to healthy scratch, right? Okay.
Gone.
All right. I know he's going to be on the roster. Is he going to be the starting left tackle in 2024, Braxton Jones?
No.
I'm also saying no. I think you take one of those top 2 left tackles. And this isn't anything bad about Braxton Jones. I think he has shown enough. And to be honest, if it gets to the point where, like...
If he's your Larry Borum next year, if he is your Larry Borum, you're in great shape.
Yeah, we saw Braxton Jones leave the game, which was another weird situation, by the way.
I don't know what that was.
Said he couldn't see. I don't know if he lost
contact. Mad? Was he speaking out towards the refs or towards one of his teammates?
I don't know.
I'm not trying to raise controversy.
I don't know.
I'm just curious because it's like, was he explaining to his teammates why he had to leave?
Reports from Courtney Cronin from ESPN was saying that players were concerned with something that happened 2 plays earlier, and they were trying to get him off the field or for something. So I don't know if it was. I never saw him go to the blue tent, so I don't think it was a concussion thing that he got pulled off for.
It was weird, and he was back in later.
And he said, "I can't effing see." So I don't know if does he wear contacts? Does he have a contact pop out? I don't know.
Okay.
Larry Borum comes in and lets up pressures on 2 plays. Granted, one of them was on the Justin Fields to DJ Moore. Right. Would he have stepped up the same way had that pressure not been there? I don't know.
One of the best plays, as Bob pointed out in our chat, one of the best plays
of his career
he's had.
Yeah.
And that goes against, like, oh, what about all the fascinating, amazing freak athlete plays?
Right.
This was felt the pressure, stepped up, delivered a perfect ball in time.
The way he
to your
stepped
best
up
weapon
in that situation is how he should have stepped up with.
Yeah, when Hutchinson pressured him and got the sack to seal it.
And that's not even his blind side. So, like, some people are saying he didn't see Hutch. That's not his blind side, guys.
It was right in his face.
He should have seen or felt that.
Let's not, like, go too far because what's the scenario? 25 seconds, 2 timeouts. You think they were going to do anything?
No.
The writing was on the wall, like I said, 3-4 drives before. I would have liked to see it.
They could have
seen it.
They could have gotten a field goal.
It's the way a lot of his games have ended. When you want that very last drive, and you still can blame it on the other drives.
Yes.
He's done so many of those where it's like, okay, now we need desperation. I mean, like, I don't want to do this to, like, rouse up the controversy.
Yes.
But what Stroud did the week before, basically.
Yeah.
45 seconds, just go score, and he did it.
Yeah.
We've never seen Fields do that.
No, not at all.
And I don't want to just say we've never seen Fields do it.
The closest
it's
to
the
it
whole
was
team.
the Pittsburgh game.
True.
Where he came back, gave them the lead.
True.
I think there was
They
like
still
a
make a
minute
defensive
something
stand.
left, and they couldn't do a defensive stand. All right. Who are some other names here? That
I mean,
wanted to throw
Whitehair
out
gone.
here?
You don't even have to tell me the name.
Yeah, no. Cody Whitehair's gone. Lucas Patrick.
What's his contract status? Like they'd have to actively cut him.
I think he's a free agent.
He's gone then.
Okay.
I don't know if they'd go out of their way to cut him, but if he's a free agent, no.
Justin Jones. You're a big Justin Jones guy. He's in
Gone.
the final year of his contract.
Gone.
He's also gone for me. Rasheem Green.
Is he here?
I mean, he showed up for
No,
one
I
play
know,
today.
I know. I'm kidding. He gone. Are these all guys that there's a reason they'd be gone, or just
No, I
you
just
might as
wanted-
well cut them?
I just wanted to see how many of these guys that are technically starters
There's not many.
Are-
You have to.
still going to be here next year.
Okay.
We saw a
You have a
huge
core. You have a core.
So that's what I'm trying to get at here. 2023 to 2024, it was like over
You missed a key name.
50%. I'm not done.
Okay.
There's over 50% turnover from 2023 to 2024. I want to see how much turnover from a starter standpoint are we going to see from 2024 or 2023 to 2024. I'm sorry, I said it wrong. From 2022 to 2023, it was a 50% plus turnover, especially at the
I'm
starters.
surprised Green is listed as a starter. But,
Well, he's technically a backup, but he's like one of those, and he wasn't until
okay.
the Montez Sweat trade. So
Exactly.
that's partly
I
why
see
I
what you're
threw him
saying.
out there.
Okay.
Okay, so Yanni Ngakwe is on a
Gone.
1-year deal.
He's gone.
So right now, for your defensive line, you have Montez Sweat and Andrew Billings that are like locked in.
And Dexter and Pickens, right?
Right,
you
but
mean
they're
starters?
not starters.
Okay, starters
right?
only.
So those guys
Okay.
will move up. So now you're probably going to have Montez Sweat and DeMarcus Walker, or potentially a
bring in-
rookie draft pick.
Yeah. Or a free agent signing.
Right. Okay. Eddie Jackson,
Gone.
gone. I think he's gone too.
That's a key position, though, to address.
Right. Okay. I think these guys are going to be on the roster, but are they going to be starters? Jaquan Brisker.
Yes, he'll start. But he needs to show something.
He needs to start showing something. I think we give him too much credit
He
for the
makes
things that
big
he does
splash
on the
plays,
run
but not
plays
enough.
and his sacks. But from a coverage standpoint, and I know he's not supposed to be the greatest coverage guy, he's letting up way too much.
Yes, he is.
And he can't seem to stay on the freaking field.
But next year would be his, we're handing you the keys kind of year, I think.
Right.
And what he does with it would determine the years after that.
All right, last one. This is probably
This is the last one?
This is probably the name you were thinking. Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, you had to say him, of course.
Yeah.
But I thought did we miss any others?
Oh, you said there was a big name I missed. I thought
For
I
sure
thought-
it's
I
Jalen
thought it was
Johnson.
Jalen
Yeah,
Johnson or Eddie
okay.
Jackson you were talking about.
He's on the team.
Okay.
Because look at all the cuts we just said were so easy.
Yeah.
That frees up even more cap space.
Yeah.
You have tons of cap space. He didn't look good today, I'll be honest with you. He had a chance to
He
be the
didn't
number
look
one corner.
Bad though.
If you get that pick six, even as bad as everything else we discussed,
Yeah.
I still think there's no way they lose this game. Because at that point, that was a 14-point swing in a
Correct.
game that you ended up losing by 3.
So another tweet that I did during the game was, the Lions know how to win, the Bears don't.
Oh, 5, sorry.
The Lions know how to win, the Bears don't know how to win. This is the reason why the game is they're losing 14-10 instead of winning 17-0.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Well, even how they ended the half, I don't want to go back into it, but that was the other bad drive by the defense, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Where you said that
It
came
was
down to two bad
the
drives.
two bad
by the
drives.
defense.
The drive right before halftime that
And-
they scored.
And when you know the other team's going to get the second half kickoff, that does matter.
Yes.
Like how you close the first half matters
Yes.
when you have the second half.
I
kickoff.
started bitching about the bend but don't break defense. Then the other drive when they got the pass to Jameson Williams was the other one that stood out to me.
Where all you had to do was withstand them better,
Right.
but you immediately gave up points.
Yeah. I mean, those two were like really bad drives. You can't.
I just put away my notes, but I couldn't
Can't
think.
have it.
Was there a key play in the halftime one that you recall?
No,
we said
it
the
was
key
a
play-
lot of underneath
The key
stuff
play on the
to-
other one was the Edmonds missed tackle to me. You let them get out of bounds. You let
Yeah.
them get 13 more yards.
Well,
all
then
that.
it was 2 plays later is when they scored, right? So
Yeah, I was more worried about how bad the coverage was by Fox than anything the Bears were doing in that last drive. That's when they first had major clock issues.
The last drive of halftime.
Yeah. No one knew how much time there was. It was running when I thought the time had been stopped.
No, what it was is just a bunch of underneath stuff. 6-7 yard passes that they would get 8, 9, 10 yards every time.
And it's just like cushion. We'll hold them to a field goal.
Right.
That shouldn't be how you're thinking.
No. And that's where I was going with in the last episode, where I was comparing the Eberflus defense with the Lovie Smith defense. Is
philosophically
they have that bend but don't break. They're not exactly the same. Tampa 2 cover 2 isn't exactly the same. Again, this is the conversations we had in the chat, so it gets way more in depth in there sometimes. I have nothing else to say about this game.
The only thing I have to say was what I was talking to my son about, and he actually brought it up. He's like, why do I invest so much of my time and energy into this? And it's like, big picture still looks good, but what makes us think that?
30 years of excellence.
In 2024, you have to be a contending team. As crazy as it's to say, a team that went 3-14 last year and is 3-8 now.
Yeah.
Looking to have another top 5 pick that you earn, not the one they're being gifted by Carolina. Right. You're going to earn a top 5 pick. And yet here I am saying you better basically be in the playoffs next year. That's how much promise we're sold. But what is it? It hasn't led to anything. So big changes are coming, I think.
We really like hope in the city of Chicago.
It's getting old, man.
We see it with
it's getting old.
Every single one of our sports teams, it seems.
Yeah. Like. Oh, well. Sorry to bring us down there, but I think the Bears are the ones that did it. I don't think it's me.
No, I'm not blaming you for any of that. It's definitely the Bears. This performance was just not good enough.
I still think this one was, though, here on the Hallis Huddle.
Oh, it always is.
So, we always subscribe.
Even when we screw up and I have horrible production editing things. And
there's some where I feel like after the episode, I never know until the episode's over, like give it a rewatch, where I'm like, I just wasn't feeling it, man. Because again, I think the Bears have sucked the energy out of me. But
after wins,
hopefully you're enjoying this. Hopefully it's therapeutic for you. Maybe
I'm not gonna go Greg Braggs and just start swearing and bitching and yelling and all that. But sometimes I do. That's why I have Rob's rants.
Only when you go on at the game. We see it at Soldier Field.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to load that. I'm loading that picture up for the next.
We're not in our normal studio either, as people probably noticed.
Correct.
Home and away. Hopefully the lighting will get just a little bit better at your place.
Maybe.
Happy birthday, Rob.
Thank you. Again.
All right. Bear down.
Bear down.
Oh, and now it's my bad production.
There you go.